Dominic Bradford says he has permanent damage to his right eye after being tased in the face by a Robbins police officer. Now, the Robbins Police Department claims Bradford was hostile when he was asked to leave a convenience store. But Bradford believes the use of force was unjustified. The ABC 7i team has obtained video of the tasing incident that followed, and we want to warn you, some of the footage and images might be hard to watch.
I'll never look the same again or feel the same, quite frankly.
Dominic Bradford's right eyelid is stitched together after he underwent 4 surgical procedures. The Chicago man says he may never see out of this eye again after he was tased in the face by a police officer.
This is what my reality is now. I don't wish this on my worst enemy.
The incident happened on March 18th. The 22-year-old says he and his friends were on their way home from a sports bar and they stopped by a convenience store in Robbins. He says a store clerk thought he had recognized him.
That became a minor back and forth of, I think I've seen you. No, you haven't. I've never been here before. That's when I knocked on the glass for the item behind the counter.
Bradford says a Robbins police officer who happened to be in the store asked him to stop knocking on the glass. He says words were exchanged and he was asked to leave. Bradford says he followed orders and left. And that's where the officer's body cam video begins.
You come back up to the glass and you seem frustrated, upset, you seem to be yelling.
Well, I was frustrated, upset, being removed from an establishment for no reason.
In the video, you can see Bradford and his friends walking to their vehicle. The officer approaches and orders Bradford to get into the car.
Hey, you got 2 seconds to get in the car. You got 2.
Bradford's friends try to intervene and things escalate. Bradford is tased and then advances toward the officer.
Sit down. Sit down.
Bradford is tased a second time in the face. Moments later, the officer calls for backup and Bradford reemerges.
If there's anyone watching the body cam video and they say, if his behavior weren't the way it was, we wouldn't be here, what would your response be to that?
Sure, I'm not here to sugarcoat the fact that Dominic was angry, but he's outside the store. That's the key. He followed his command. Police officers, quite frankly, are trained to not emotionally react, particularly when they're not being placed in danger.
A Village of Robbins spokesperson says it does not comment on matters of litigation, but did say in part, quote, a Robbins police officer was engaged in an incident outside a local business with an individual in which the police body camera shows was irate and noticeably intoxicated during the exchange. All of which was in response to the owner of the local business requesting the officer to have the individual leave the store following a prior hostile exchange. An ambulance was called to the scene and Bradford was taken to the hospital.
It was difficult to view, so to see, like blood on his face, his eye almost hanging out of his head. No mother, no father, no parent should ever have to see their child in that situation.
Bradford and his attorney now suing the Village of Robbins and the officer who tased him. They believe the use of force was unjustified. Bradford denies being intoxicated on the night in question, maintaining he was upset that he had to leave the store after being misidentified by the clerk. I asked Bradford why he advanced at the officer after being tased the first time.
I was still in a mode of protection because I had just witnessed this officer push my friend out of the way in order to tase me. It was very intense and everything was happening super fast.
I feel confident in saying that video does not display his proudest moment. But in that video, I watched him and his friend walk away. So I don't understand why he pursued them.
I forgive you because I should. And the police department definitely needs to do better training.
The Robbins police officer in this incident has not been charged with a crime and is still with the police department. Bradford, who was tased, was not arrested or charged with a crime during this incident. The Robbins Police Department says its mission is to service the citizens of Robbins with a high level of integrity. They say they are cooperating with Illinois State Police to investigate this matter.
Dominic Bradford, age 22, went to a convenience store in the city of Robbins, located in the state of Illinois, on March 18, 2025. After entering the store and walking up to the clerk to purchase items, Mr. Bradford claimed that the store clerk mentioned that he recognized Mr. Bradford. However, Mr. Bradford replied to the store clerk that this was his first time in the store. According to Mr. Bradford, the store clerk continued insisting that he knew Mr. Bradford, and every time that the store clerk mentioned those claims, Mr. Bradford continued to respond with denials of those claims. Mr. Bradford stated that during the conversation, Mr. Bradford knocked on the glass window at the counter for the item behind the counter. In the store was an active police officer at the current time that this situation took place. The police officer witnessed Mr. Bradford knocking on the glass, and according to Mr. Bradford, the police officer asked that he stop knocking on the glass window. Words between the police officer and Mr. Bradford were exchanged, and then the police officer asked that Mr. Bradford leave the store. Shortly after Mr. Bradford left, Mr. Bradford then returned to the front entrance of the store's door, appearing to be disgruntled. The police officer then left the store and confronted Mr. Bradford and continuously asked Mr. Bradford to get into his vehicle and leave the premises, which Mr. Bradford did not comply with, later on resulting in the officer tasing Mr. Bradford twice, once in the abdomen area. And after Mr. Bradford came closer to the police officer tased Mr. Bradford once again in his face, striking Mr. Bradford in the eye, causing permanent eye damage. Mr. Bradford, in my logical analysis, has a strong civil litigation against the city of Robbins. I believe Mr. Bradford will win his civil litigation, and I strongly believe, based on the legal aspects that transpired, Mr. Bradford will be awarded a large sum of money in this lawsuit. These are my reasonings as to why I believe this to be true. First, there wasn't any crime being committed, nor was Mr. Bradford criminally trespassing. To my knowledge and the reports pertaining to the circumstance, Mr. Bradford was never asked to leave by the store clerk. Only the police officer asked for Mr. Bradford to leave the store. Notice the term asked instead of the term lawfully ordered. That is critically in this lawsuit in order to determine the authority that is allowed to be used upon Mr. Bradford. The police officer asking Mr. Bradford to leave has the same power as any ordinary citizen in the store asking Mr. Bradford to leave the store, which isn't any power. Once Mr. Bradford left, although Mr. Bradford more than likely wasn't aware of his rights to stay on privately owned property on which he wasn't trespassing, Mr. Bradford was followed by an officer that shot him with a taser for not entering his vehicle. It is critical to remember that all of these demands by the police officer weren't legally ordered and weren't given due to any legal standpoint, such as a crime. Then the police officer, without any legal grounds, uses the taser on Mr. Bradford. However, generally, no. It is not legal for a police officer to use a taser without a valid reason, such as an ongoing threat, active resistance, or to prevent an escape, even if an arrest or formal charge is not immediately following.
While tasers are considered a less lethal force option, their use is still subject to legal limitations. So basically, the use of the officer's taser on Mr. Bradford was based on the aspects and elements of the police officer's personal request, not lawful orders. And that is most certainly a violation of law on the officer's part. If the officer's actions were allowed, then there would be police using tasers on anyone that they personally wanted to leave any place for whatever their personal reasons were. And to further prove my point, Mr. Bradford was never arrested nor charged when this altercation occurred. Anytime any force is used in a police-related situation, especially a taser, most certainly it is followed by charges and an arrest. If you haven't subscribed to the Prime Analyzer channel, you are missing out on great content. Subscribe now so that you will have the advantage of receiving notifications for the upcoming content that is soon to come. The upcoming content contains information that has been thoroughly researched, documents, and police records that are not always released to the public. So do yourself a favor and give a comment below on your thoughts about this. And also click like and subscribe with notifications on for future related videos.